time to get on with the Roland D-20 project. Now, I've been lucky enough to own this Roland D-20, which is somewhere in frame, for a number of years. And because of my circumstances, for most of that time, it actually sat in its case in storage. Now, I've had it in my hobby hut studio for quite a while now. And when I put it in last year, I noted there was a number of things that weren't quite right with it. So I said, right, okay, I'm gonna bring it back. I'm quite lucky because the actual case on this D20, which you can see from the overhead, is actually in very good condition. It's got a couple of dings around the corner. There's a little bit of a mark on this end, which is slightly off camera because I can't get the lens wide enough. But other than that, it's actually in very, very good condition. But it does have a few problems. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Now, in the D series range, as you are probably aware, the D50 came first, then the D20 and D10. I think they were launched simultaneously. I can't remember. The D110, which was effectively the rack mount version of the D10, not the D20, but the D10. And then there was the D5. Obviously, the D550 came out at the same time as the slightly just after the D50 was launched. And then there was the D70 that tootled along to close off the D range in 1990. So this is the next synthesizer to be released in the D range effectively, because the D50 and the D550 are the same synthesizer. One's a rack mount, one's a keyboard. This was the next one to be released. And the key difference between the D10, and I also have an example of a D10, and the D20 is the fact the D20 has this disk drive on it, which the D10 does not. If you want to back the D10 up, you're either backing it up using SysX or you're backing it up using a RAM card. So, what are the issues? So issue number one is apparent when you switch the machine on, or the instrument on. There's the on button. And it comes up with the normal... It's not going to play ball on me now, is it? When this K was switching on probably 2 or 3 months ago, it was coming up low battery in the in this area here. So it's not coming up low battery at the moment. There you go. There it goes. Internal battery check. I don't know whether that was coming up on the overhead. I'll try and zoom in. So the first thing we've got to do is change the battery. Now I look back through my records, and I have to be honest and say I can't ever actually see when I last changed the battery, which is unusual for me because normally the first thing I do when I acquire a synthesizer, whether it's given to me or whether I buy one, is I change the battery, because I've no idea when the battery was last changed. So it just seems logical to do that. So first thing we're going to do is change the battery. The next issue we're going to tackle came a few months ago when I was trying to use a synth for something I was doing. And I was trying to access one of the sounds on, or some of the sounds on one of the cards. Now this is the card. I eventually used my D110 to do it rather than using the keyboard, which just meant I had to sort of set up all the MIDI, which is kind of all set up on the racks anyway. But it just meant I wasn't playing it on the keyboard, which is what I wanted to do. Anyway, the first thing I was going to say about these is this thing is getting quite old now. And as I've said somewhere in this video, it's, I think it was produced in 1988. So, you know, where we are now, it's coming up to nearly 50 years. 50, 20, 40 years old. So I do not advocate putting these things into a keyboard. There is protection on the keyboard. You can do it. It shouldn't affect it. But given the age of the keyboard, I don't advocate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this card in and show you what the problem is. Sorry, I'm just checking sure the overhead camera was actually recording. So there you go, card inserted, power on, boots up. Right, we're all good to go. Try to access the card, get told it's a legal card. Okay, so do it again, legal card. Try a different card. Put it off, take the one out. That one in. Boots up, card, same error. Okay, so because I'm getting the same error, I'm pretty sure it's a problem with the card reader. So what I'm going to do, I'm hoping that it's a symptom of age as opposed to something a bit deeper and darker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously open it up, and then I'm going to get access to the card reader, which may actually require taking the board out. And then I'm going to give it a good clean and see if that is what's causing the problem. Because 9 times out of 10, the reason why these things don't work is because the contacts on these things don't make contact with the contact on the synthesizer, because grease and grime and all kinds of other bits and bobs have got in there. At the end of the day, although I'm not showing it to you, there is no cover on the access port on a lot of the synthesizers made around this time. I guess it just wasn't thought about. If you went and looked at some of the bigger cartridges, yes, there's like a dust flap that springs up. But on these kind of slimmed down Roland cartridges, the SYs were exactly the same. They don't have any protection. So, you know, if you're in a smoky atmosphere or you're in a grimy atmosphere or anything like that, you know, it's in the air, and anybody who knows, it just attaches to anything it can attach to. So it's possible that is what's causing the problem here. But I don't know until I get inside and start having a good look at it. But that's the next issue to tackle. Now, the third thing we're going to do is give the disk drive a bit of maintenance. Now, for years now, I have been putting something like this in the disk drive. Okay, this is a bad floppy drive. Okay, it doesn't allow data. It's got too many bad sectors on it. So, but what this does is it allows the mechanism to be protected. Now, when this keyboard would have been delivered to whoever bought it brand new, there would have been a disk protector in there. Okay, so a disk protector was a cardboard or plastic floppy disk, in for want of a better word, with no media in it. It was just a floppy disk that went into the drive, and it allowed the drive to close and fix itself for transport. Really good idea. Can you buy them nowadays? Of course you can't. They pop up every now and then on eBay, but other than that, no, you can't get hold of these. Anyway, the mechanism itself on the disk drive, when I tested it, wasn't working quite. It would load, but it's not. So I'm just hoping a little bit of maintenance on the disk drive, a little bit of lubrication on the relevant bits, and some cleaning of the heads will fix whatever issues we're experiencing with the disk drive. It's not broken per se. I think it just needs a bit of TLC. And the final thing we're going to do is just give the keyboard a bit of a clean. I don't think I've cleaned it since, well, that's not true. When I bought it originally, I would have given this a wipe over. Okay, so the whole idea was just to remove any surface grime, but it was in fairly good condition, as you can see on the overhead. There's the odd ding and scratch. But I'm just going to give it a good clean. So part of that will be, I will take, I won't take the keyboard out, but what I will do is I will give each one of these keys a polish, because you can feel, if you rub your fingers down it, there's a degree of resistance. That resistance isn't resistance per se. Actually, what that resistance is is dust and grime that's accumulated on the keys that you can't see. It just needs to be rubbed off. So by just using a very gentle cutting compound, which you've seen me do on the channel several times before, I'm just going to go over the keyboard with the gentle cutting compound, and that will polish the keys and make them nice to the touch, which is one of those things as a keyboard player, it's sort of like, don't think about what you're playing and then you realise actually what you're playing, because you don't know who's had it before you. You don't know what's on the keyboard. As I said, I would have cleaned this, given it a gentle clean when I originally got it. So now it just needs that little bit of TLC, and then it will go back where I had it for a number of months here. So this is where the D20 has been living for the last few months, because I have been using it. The internal sounds aren't bad. I just can't use it it's not working to the fullest extent it could work. So that's the D20. Now there will be another video or another set of videos about the D110, because the D110 I suspect will also need a battery change. So there will be that. And for both these D-series synthesizers, there's a method for backing it up via SysX and a method of restoring it by SysX. So I will video those as well as separate videos as part of this series. So you've got the complete thing. How do you get into it? How do you need to work on it? How do you back up the files if you can't use the disk drive or a RAM cartridge? How do you get SysX back on? The complete package for the Roland D-20 to get you set up and working with this synthesizer. Now, you would have heard me say on many occasions that this is the better D-series workstation. And people have said, no, John, the D50 is better. Listen to my words. This is the better D50 workstation. The D50 is an outright synthesizer. Okay, it has no workstation capability. It is a synthesizer, that is it. This is a workstation. Okay, what does it mean by workstation? Well, on this one you have a rhythm section, so you can create your own rhythms, and it also has a sequencer on it, so you can actually sequence stuff up and sync it. So that's what makes this the workstation. And you've got to remember, this was 1980, I'm going to say 88, I think it might be 1989, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's 88 or 89, I think it was 88 when this was released. I think the R5, the D5 was 89. Anyway, there you go, D-series synthesizer. This has been video 1, assessment. Watch out for video 2. Live long and prosper. Bye bye.